Hello and welcome to Murphy's Garden, and you join me here in the woodland garden, and I'm just here down low on my hands and knees because I was just looking at some of these beautiful little bulbs, and you really do have to get down low to appreciate all the detail and their beauty, particularly things like the hellebores. You really have to get down and look up at them, and also the snake's head fatillas, which are just absolutely glorious. Looks so pretty. So the woodland garden's looking nice. There are elements of the garden that are looking nice, but a lot of our garden is in a state of flux. We're putting in different changes and things and trying to sort of move the garden on to the next level. But in doing so, sometimes you have to kind of go backwards before you go forwards. So it can be a little bit frustrating. We've got things like fencing that you see here. The fencing's not so good now, it's getting quite old. So there's things like that that we will have to eventually get to. But there's lots of jobs like that where you're constantly having to kind of be pulled back to repeat things when really you want to advance the garden and go forward. So today is just lots of really catching up jobs. So if you want to come with me and see what we're up to, we have borrowed Brian's digger because it's time to turn the compost heap. So you can come and join me for that. So what we're doing here, we've got some wood. The wood sheds have been repaired. The felt had all gone on the roof and the whole roof needed replaced. Al's done that. And so my job is going to be to stack up the wood sheds. We've got masses of wood sitting about here that we want to process from, this is some leylandii that we took down. We've borrowed the digger, Bri's digger. This is it here. And so we'll be using that to turn the compost heap. As you can see, the compost heap is a little full. So that's everything that goes on the compost heap is shredded or chipped if it's wood. That's got to be done, all that's got to be chipped, and that'll go on too, and then the whole thing can be turned. What I wanted to show you here, so as you know, we've rabbit proofed the whole garden. We had a problem with rabbits last year, so the whole garden has been rabbit proofed. However, we've seen a few rabbits in the garden, so we checked all the rabbit proofing around the perimeter. It all looked sound, but when I was digging out this compost in the last week or so, we found a hole at the back of the compost heap where the rabbits had been coming in. So we've temporarily just put bricks to stop them coming up. We had one rabbit left in the garden, which has been upsetting me every morning. When I open the curtains, he's always there eating things. So we opened the gate this morning and we think he may have gone out, but we're not quite sure, but we think he has. And so we need to prioritise just sorting this weak spot out and dealing with that to stop them coming in for definite. Because I just I can't handle another year like last year where everything got destroyed. So that's good. So the compost heaps, we're going to be working on those. So we're going to be moving that on. And then, as you can see, the compost heap's kind of fallen apart really. So that all needs repairing. And then this wood's going to be processed. So let's get to work. So Al will just take the wood down the drive and I'll meet him over by the wood sheds. So this is all the wood to offload, and then I'll take you around. These are the wood sheds. So the wood sheds, Alistair's dad actually built these when we first moved here, so 15 years ago. They're really good. They've all been repaired, so they look brand new again. They hold masses of wood. We have two and then a third smaller one for kindling. Right, so let's get this offloaded. And just a little bit more to do, so let's speed things up a bit. And that's that job done. Very satisfying. Incredible how much each woodshed can hold. So that's one trailer load is effectively 1.5 woodsheds, because there is a lot more storage space up high. It can go a lot higher than I've done it. And we have got more wood here that needs to be split and cut up a little bit, so that'll go in there as well. this shed here is for kindling, so I may go and have a look at the kindling and perhaps do that now. Anyway, let's go and have a look and see what Al's up to. And that's the trailer, empty, and just some wood there for us to burn tonight. So Al's busy just scooping out the remaining compost in bay 2 and putting it in bay 1, and this is great because I will sift this and use this on the vegetable patch. So there's some still, I thought I'd used up all the compost, but there's actually still quite a lot of nice stuff. And then once that bay is clear, he can then tip from bay 1 into this bay. So yeah, I think we're getting quite a nice little system going with the compost. Certainly producing nice stuff. It may not look a thing of beauty, but it kind of works. He asked me did I want to have a go at doing it, but I should do really, but I don't think I'd be very good at it. You have to kind of do 2 things at once, which I'm not sure I could do. But he's got to be quite dexterous with it. So he's pulling out all this stuff, brings it all out, really aerate so we can lift it with the digger and get lots of air into it, which is really important to help all the breakdown. Lots of air is good. And then he uses it to just push the heat back in again. And it's exciting to see that in the middle, under all this, is some nice black compost. So it is decomposing very nicely in the middle of that heap. So just by getting it all out and turning it and mixing it, it will really accelerate the process. I find the whole process of composting fascinating. It's just brilliant when you turn it on its head. So all that waste material that you just don't know what to do with in the autumn and in the spring when you cut it back, to turn it on its head and create something that's absolutely wonderful. It's a real asset. So if you don't compost, really seriously think about it. We're starting to take it much more seriously than we ever did. And as you can see, we've invested quite heavily in pieces of equipment to help us with this process, and we're doing it on a big scale, and we're really upping our game in composting, and we're reaping the rewards for doing so. So think about composting if you don't already. Okay, and my next little job I want to do are the obelisks. So these are 4 of what we've got. We've got 6 obelisks, which Alistair made these, and they're really lovely, really sturdy, really good. We don't want them anymore in the big top borders, which are going to be redesigned. Just felt the design didn't work so well with them in, but what we thought they would look good is to just add a little bit of height in the quadrant garden now that the trellis has gone, which we removed a couple of years ago, I think. It just lacks a little bit of height, so I think they'll work really well there. We had them white originally, but I don't really want them white anymore, and I've just been experimenting with this green colour, which I think looks quite nice. That's the same colour as the back door, so I think that will just give a bit of cohesion. The other 2, as I said, are in the vegetable patch, so we'll get them done as well, because I think I'd like to paint them as well, and I'm going to use them in the vegetable patch to grow squashes and to grow things up them, because they're sturdy and I think they'll be quite good for that. So I'm just going to begin by sanding them down. They've been painted with an oil-based paint, and they're still pretty secure really, but any bits of paint that are a little bit loose, I'll just sand off like here. There's a bit there. So we'll just sand that down a bit and just make it a nice surface to put the paint on. And I've got an oil base that's going onto here. Okay, so I tried sanding the obelisks without much success. It was taking ages, couldn't get the sander into the little nooks and crannies, and I thought I'm going to be here forever. So Al suggested, why don't you have a go with the high pressure water wash? And I actually did this with the white bench last year, and it was quite successful. It blasted off all the algae and any loose paint as well. And that's what I'm doing. And as you can see, it's working really, really well, and so quick as well, which is even better. So just blasting all the stuff off. I have turned them upside down on sideways and wherever, just to get in everywhere. And it's working really, really well. So it's revealed there are a couple of, 2 of the batons, the cross batons, are a little bit rotten. But Al says he's got some spares, because when he made these, he did make some spares. So he'll replace those for me. I'm going to let them dry and then I'll paint them. And so time for a tea break, I think. So let's see how Al's getting on. So he's now doing very well. Most of the compost is now in bay 2, looking good. A little bit more still to do. The structure of the compost heap itself has been a little bit battered because it's quite difficult to reach it and get the compost out without knocking the posts, so they're all a bit wibbly wobbly, but it doesn't really matter in the great scheme of things. It's performing its function. It may not be a thing of beauty, but it works, so that's fine. That's good enough for us. One very fat blackbird who's been eating all the worms, and this is the compost that's ready. Bay 3. This is bay 2, which is looking very high, but in a day or two that will drop down. The posts have got really damaged, but it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Then this is the first bay, so that is now empty, which is great because now we've got somewhere to put things that we cut back. So good job, and I'll start using that compost in bay 3 for the vegetable patch when I'm sowing my seeds. And another day, and a beautiful day, and every day starts the same with me just coming in and unfleecing the greenhouse. So the greenhouse, just put a light fleece over everything just at night because it is still getting quite chilly, and we've got some things like tomatoes and cucumbers and the like which are still a little bit tender. So I'll just show you what I've got. I do have to get on and do more sowing because I do feel a little bit behind with my sowing this year, to be honest, although I have got quite a lot in here. It is quite full. So I'll just tell you what I've got. So I've got some antirrhinums. They're the ones that I grew in the autumn, and they really need to be potted on because they've outgrown those little cells. Here we've got, what are they? Amobium. We've got cucumbers. We've got scabious. What are they? Antirrhinums, tomatoes, gherkins, things like that. We've got some limonium. This is the Erigeron carvinskianus. I've got quite a lot of that. I've grown a lot of that because I want to put that underneath the Crataegus tree, which I'll show you another time, but that's doing quite well. That's quite hardy, so I think that could probably be planted and that would make a lot more space here. More tomatoes and things here, some limonium. Everything's been really slow to germinate. I've got peas out there which haven't done a thing. I think I've just bought some new seed. These are my ranunculus. To be honest, I've never grown ranunculus before, and I'm not entirely sure what I think they should go outside now, I believe. They've got quite a nice size, so I'm going to get those outside. These have done well. These are the double giant straw flowers, and underneath here I've got the propagator, so I just turn that off now. Yeah, so off. I've got some more bits under here, more courgettes and things, but I do want to do a lot more sowing, so when I've done all my jobs outside, I'm going to get in here and do quite a lot of work here. So I just take all the little propagator lids off. Not much happening in here. Little bit, a few little seeds there, but yeah, everything seems a little bit slow. But Olivia says I say that every year. Out here we've got the broad beans. They can go in there. They've been outside for a while and they're ready to go in the ground. And these are all the hardy annuals which are getting pot bound as well, so they've got to go in. But now I'm going to get on and do some more painting. So we're pushing on with all these jobs. You join me now in the vegetable patch. And what I'm doing is obviously just painting the fence, as you can see. But the reason why I'm doing this now, because I've got hundreds of other jobs to do, but the blossom on these pears is just starting to open. You can see this one behind me. It's just opened actually, and once the blossom is open, it's going to make it very hard to paint these panels. The apple trees further down seem a little bit further behind, so I could probably wait till next weekend to do that, but the pears are pushing ahead, and this is a really sunny point in the garden, really sunny area, so I think that's why they're opening a little bit quicker. So this paint is cuprinol. It's called Silver Copse. we've been using this. I think I did a video, I don't know, about 3 years ago, something like that, I guess, where I painted it. It was just a brown fence. And by painting it this colour, it really, really transformed it. I really like the colour. The paint itself, all these modern paints are all water-based, so they really don't last that long. They've lasted, I haven't done it since, so I suppose it's lasted about 3 years, which isn't too bad, I guess. But some of them have gone quite green. This area, because it's in full sun, it doesn't go green. So this is just a case of touching it up. So these are espaliered apple trees. You can see how lovely they are, and we get loads of, it's a really effective space-saving way of growing apples and pears. These are pears, but we have got apples further down there. But it doesn't take up much room. You can always pick them. They're always at the right height for picking. And it's really, really productive. We get so many pears, not every year. We have usually sort of every other year, we have a bountiful harvest. Last year was good, so maybe this year won't be quite so good, although it does look as if it's going to have lots of blossom. So that's that. Murphy's just next to me, basking in the sunshine, lying on the fleece. He got me a lovely Mother's Day card, didn't you, Murph? So we're just enjoying a lovely day. It's very windy, so this is the nicest part of the garden, and actually this is one of my favourite points in the garden. Don't come down here very often, only to pick vegetables, but when you stand in this corner and look back up the garden, it's one of my very favourite views. And the other reason for doing this area is that I want to get the potatoes planted soon. I'm not sure I'm going to get it done today, but I do want to get them done soon, and also the broad beans. I've started those on in the greenhouse and they've all come through, and now it's time to plant them out. So I think I'll put them, I rotate the vegetables every year, so I think they're going to go down this area. This was the squashes last year, so I think I'll put them here. So that's it. After I've used this paint up, probably get another 2 or 3 panels done. Then I'm going to go and move down to the obelisks. So the obelisks, they were, as I showed you, they were peeling and not very nice. So I played about with sanding them with different sanding machines and stuff. It didn't really work, and I was just it was taking forever. Couldn't really get all the paint off very effectively because you couldn't get your hand in and you couldn't get the machine in. So in the end, Al suggested, why don't you just try blasting it off with the high pressure water wash. So that's what I did, and that was by far the best method. So blasted all the paint off. It did reveal a couple of areas that are wood's a bit rotten, so I was going to replace that. But I'm going to get on the ones that aren't rotten, the ones that are sound, I'm going to get on and paint those when I've done this painting. So it's a day of painting. So that looks better. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels, and actually still not even finished. That wasn't a new tin of paint. It was probably about 3/4 full, so I think I've used half in total to do that many panels, which is really good coverage actually. So Murph and I are going to go in and get some lunch now because I'm really hungry, but I've got these to do. I'm not going to do the rest of them today. I'm going to move on now to the obelisks. So I've actually finished the whole fence. I hadn't intended to do the whole thing, thinking I didn't have enough paint, but I've actually used up every little tiny bit of this paint. So, but I have done all panels, right the way to the top, and it looks so much nicer, and it's ready for when the blossom comes out, so it looked really good. It's about 3:30 now, so I think I still have got time to go and do the obelisk, so let's go and do that now. So next on the agenda is the obelisk. So we've got the 6 obelisks, which are lovely and clean now, having cleaned them yesterday with a pressure washer. They're looking really good. And so this is the paint that I'm going to use. It's called Green Glade. It's a satin, weather shield, exterior wood and metal. And it says it dries quite quickly. So I'm going to use this one up. This is just some we had left over from the back door. It's the same colour as the back door and the front door actually. So I'm going to use this one up, and then we've got a whole new tin. So I'll just see what I can get done. If I can get one coat on today would be good. Thinking this would look nice with a clematis growing up it. I could put a rose up it, but really our soil really loves clematis, so I'm going for things that love our garden rather than trying to fight against things. How much nicer does that look? It looks lovely. I don't know why we painted them white. Can't remember our reasoning, but it looks so much nicer in that lovely sagey green colour. One down, first coat. I've got to do at least 2 coats on each one, but that's the first one has got a base coat. So I'll try and get another coat on the other 5, and then it'll probably be next weekend before I finish them. So I've made a good start. I've put 1 coat on 3 of the obelisks. I've got the other 3 for the first coat, and then I'll give them all a second coat as well. So I've made a good start, but more to do next weekend. But I think they look so much nicer in this colour. It's a lovely paint. It's going on really, really nicely. Looks really solid and looks a lot classier. I'm not really sure why we painted them white now, but I'm sure there was a reason, but I think they look a lot nicer in this colour. So we'll just head up now to the compost heap, and just to show you what Alice has been up to. We're making the most of the extra hour of light because it's 6:30 and we're still enjoying the garden. It's absolutely lovely. So we'll just head up to the top. So that's Brian just leaving with the digger, and we've got loads done here. So that wood just needs processing, but that's the compost heap empty. We've got this one all covered. Let the heat get into that, and that will soon go right down. And then this is the compost that's ready for me to sieve, and I can use that, and I'll probably use that on the new borders when I come to do the redesign, or possibly with the vegetable in fact I'm going to use that on the vegetable patch, because by the time I'm doing the new borders I bet you that stuff will be ready. So Al's just levelled this. We did have some Leylandii hedging in there which was superfluous, we didn't need it, so he's flattened down this area. We're going to probably gravel that area for another bit of hard standing. So that's looking a lot better. It's the following weekend. Managed to get the obelisks all painted, so they will be getting installed here in the quadrant garden, and I think they've turned out really nice. I'm really pleased with those. But having had this massive list of jobs to do, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do always. But now the sun's come out, everything seems worthwhile, and all of the stress and strains just evaporate because it's like magic being here in the garden when the sun's out. Everything's opening. The hornbeam next to me here, the leaves are just starting to open. The Amilankia, can you see the Amilankia? They look the best they've ever looked. They're getting quite big now and they look absolutely stunning. The blossom on the pear trees has all opened, so I'm really glad I got that fence painted. And just generally, I just don't want to be anywhere else. I just want to be here in my own garden. And all those videos we did about designing your garden, and when you get it right, there's lots of things, obviously there's always lots to do, but generally it just feels right, and it feels just like a little haven of tranquility, surrounded by birds and bees and butterflies and everything. It's just wonderful, and it reminds me of the poem Robert Browning. My mum used to always quote it in spring. Oh, to be in England now that spring is here, the leaves unfurl and birdsong fills the air. I think it's something like that. Can't remember the rest, but you get the sentiment. So it's lovely here in Shropshire at this time of year. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and join me again in the next video. Bye for now.